Hi everyone. So today I wanted to talk about something that I think a lot of creative spirits have problems with, and that's staying inspired. Sometimes your brain is just full of ideas and you can't get them onto canvas fast enough, and other times you just are struggling with, figuring out what to paint. You just can't seem to find any sort of inspiration. For me, this is definitely a struggle. I mean, I work full time. I have a life, so so just like everybody, you have to go grocery shopping, you have to clean the house. You want to maintain some sense of a social life. So every once in a while, you do have to go out with friends just to keep yourself sane. And in the midst of all of this, you're also trying to do your art, and it can be a real challenge sometimes. I was finding myself creating just not nearly as much as I wanted to. So this year, as part of my New Year's resolution, I decided to do a sketch a day series where essentially it's that I sketch one thing every day. So it doesn't really matter, what I sketch, what it's of, how good it is. It's just about forcing myself to create something every day. And in doing that, I found it very challenging sometimes to find inspiration. I have no clue what to sketch sometimes. But what it's done is it's forced me to be constantly looking for inspiration. And I thought that some of the things I've learned would be beneficial to you guys. So here are some tools and tricks that I've come across when it comes to finding inspiration. So the first thing, if you're going to start a sketch a day series of your own, is to go to your local art store. Art stores for artists are kind of like toy stores for kids. I mean, you walk in there and you want everything there, and once you get it home, you want to create with it. So I think it's a good way to kind of jumpstart things. Just go to an art store, it could be Michael's, use your little 40% coupon, whatever, and just pick up a new, sketchbook that has really nice feeling paper to you. Pick up a new pencil or pen, something that, just has that new feeling. It's kind of like when you started school, and I don't know if you guys were the same way, but I loved going back to school and getting, newly sharpened pencils or something like that. There was just something, I don't know, exciting about it. So I think it's a good way to start, just getting things jump started by going to your art supply store. One thing I've started to really do is just pay attention to life, because life itself is full of inspiration. I know this past month especially, I've been much better about staying on top of this sketch a day thing. But it's also been a little easier. I attended a wedding, so the love these two people had was a source of inspiration for me. So I did a sketch based on that. I had two of my friends give birth to daughters on the same day, so that became a source of inspiration for the sketch that day. You can just find inspiration so many times around you based on the things that you're experiencing, but usually would overlook. You wouldn't think of them as inspiration. I find listening to music to be a good source of inspiration. A lot of times people are kind of painting images with their music, and sometimes this is a little bit more with things that don't have any vocal accompaniment, but other times, no, that's not the case. So if there's, music that you really like listening to when you create, sometimes just listening to the music, even if it's just, okay, when I see this piece, when I'm listening to this, I'm seeing like blues and greens with specks of gold or something. Just take a little canvas or something and paint that down really quick. It doesn't have to be a sketch with a pen and pencil. It can be something that you just do really quickly with a paint medium of your choice. But just that act of getting something down, even if later you look at it and go, that's like crap. It's not about creating art at this point. It's just about keeping yourself creative and just creating something. And at some point, you're going to look at that and go, that speaks to my soul, because I was getting something out that needed to be gotten out. It doesn't need to be, pretty to look at. It's just getting something on paper or canvas. I find going for a walk. If I'm stuck and the weather's nice, just go for a walk. I usually will bring my phone with me, which is good just in case something should happen, but also it's good because you can jot down notes if you find inspiration just in your head while walking. You can take pictures of wildlife or, a tree that you find interesting, a wildflower that you find to be beautiful, because later on you can, incorporate that into a piece. So I find just taking strolls to be really inspirational. If the weather's, kind of too hot for a stroll, the other thing I'll do is just jump in the pool. I live in warmer climate, so I have a pool, but if you don't and you live near a beach, or an ocean, if you live near a park, just taking time to just sit and kind of observe nature can be extremely inspiring. Another place I find inspiration is in magazines. It can be sort of a challenge because typically when you're looking at a magazine, you're reading articles, you're looking at the fashion, the makeup, shoes, whatever. I mean, they're trying to sell something to you generally. But if you start looking at it from the point of poses or finding interesting faces or interesting hand gestures, if you start looking at it from that standpoint, all of a sudden magazines are just full of inspiration. I'm often, kind of seeing, oh, well, this is a person sitting, just kind of looking off. But what if it was a mermaid sitting and looking off into the distance or watching some dolphins playing or something like that? Suddenly your imagination starts to take effect. And when you do the sketch, because it's inspired by something in real life, it actually is a little more informed. It's not something that you're, pulling from your head. You're actually able to fit some more realistic details in there than you normally would. So I think magazines are a great way to go, but you just have to stop being distracted by the stuff they're trying to sell you and start paying attention to just looking at the people or the dogs or whatever might be in the magazine that you're looking at. Thumbing through vacation photos. I find that to be a really great way of finding inspiration. Usually, if you're like me, then you're seeing something and you're taking a photo of it because you're thinking in your head you're going to go paint it later on at some point in your life. So, the thing is that oftentimes, especially with me, probably with you too, I would imagine, and I don't think I'm that unique of an individual, you just forget to go back to those photos and look at them. So just thumbing through your old photos usually is a really good source of inspiration. So you can always go and start doing that. If you are unfortunately unable to go on vacations very often, that's okay. Find a place that you would like to go on vacation and Google it. Because I tell you, there's 1.5 million photos there and something is going to catch your interest. Even if it's just the way a color looks against another color, something is going to spark that creative, joy, that joy to create. I have an art blog and I've had it for a few years now. And in doing my blog, I've come across other blogs on art and stuff like that. And a lot of times I'll get my inspiration from other artists, just seeing what they're doing, and what they're thinking and what their challenges are. A lot of times that will inspire me. So just taking some time to look at other people and seeing what they're doing on their Facebook fan page and things like that can be a good source of inspiration. Looking at art. If you have access to an art gallery, obviously go to the art gallery. But if you aren't fortunate or don't have the money to do that, then just go to your library and check out art books. Of course, looking at art is obviously inspiring. So, the other thing is if you don't have time to go to the library, we all have, these smartphones, we have tablets, we have laptops. Just Google art or put in your favorite artist and just sort of see what comes up. Because a lot of times, especially with Google, they'll put things in there that aren't by your artist, but they're by people who are inspired by your artist. So you can kind of see other people's, work as it is in comparison to your favorite artist. And that can be kind of interesting sometimes, and it can also be inspiring. So it's another good source of inspiration. Challenging yourself with new mediums or new styles, looking through like an art history book while we're looking at books is another really good way to kind of just inspire yourself. It's just challenging you. I know for one piece, I wanted to do something based on the space. It was on the universe. And I'd bought this black drawing paper on a whim. And so I decided to do that for one of my sketches. I did this color pencil drawing on black paper, and it kind of was like you had to work in reverse, because normally when you're working on a white piece of paper, you're kind of building up your shadows. But with black paper, obviously all your shadows are there, so you're kind of building from the shadow into your light. It's sort of a reversed way of thinking, and it was challenging but fun. And I think that doing things like that, even if it's just, okay, I'm going to do a blind contour where you can't look at your piece of paper, and you just really focus on a piece and do your drawing without ever looking at it, that can just be another challenging thing to do. It can be a way to get you to observe more clearly. And so kind of giving yourself art projects almost like you were a teacher can also be a good way to stay inspired. When in doubt, do studies. That is my rule of thumb. If I am just totally stumped and just cannot come up with anything to inspire me, and I am looking at that blank piece of paper and just cannot find anything that I want to draw, then the next best thing is to just study things. Study hands, especially. I mean, people always need to draw hands more and more and more. You can't draw enough hands because they're tricky, and most paintings will have an amazing face and really bad hands. So I say study hands. Study hands, study feet, look in photos in your magazines, look at them on your, just family photos. Draw hands, draw feet, draw eyes, just study facial expressions, make funny expressions at yourself in the mirror and draw it, whatever you need to do. But if in doubt and you really can't think of anything to draw, then draw those. At least you're getting some nice studies in there done, and you'll get better so that and you'll find yourself improving on those things too, so that as you're creating, more long-term paintings and things like that, you'll find that your understanding of light and shadow will be better, your hand drawings or your hand paintings will be better, just your understanding of anatomy will be better. So the last source of inspiration is to just read short stories. Give yourself art projects as if you were a teacher. Give yourself a phrase and do a painting based on that phrase, or give yourself a character, a theme, whatever. These are also good ways of keeping yourself inspired so that you are able to create something every day. I hope that you found these to be helpful and that you will try a few of them and let me know how it goes, because I do find that this has been a challenge, but I'm also really grateful for the things that I've learned, because I am creating on a more daily basis, and that's what my goal was. So hopefully this will help you guys to create on a more daily basis as well. And I will soon be sharing some of my favorite sketches from this series, so stay tuned for that. I'll probably do it in a monthly thing, so I'll show you guys what I did this past May with some of my favorite sketches that I did. And I'll just keep going through the rest of the year. So stay tuned, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye!